Hello everyone, Victor here. Just wanted to showcase how I approached Model Mania 2023 and won second place in the Reseller category. So this is a part that was done in millimeters, and we started with a sketch on the top plane. The way that I did this is I started with these overall circles, so 50 and 42. I just went ahead and extruded both of these mid-plane at 30 millimeters. Hold on. Let's go ahead and try that again. 30 millimeters mid-plane, yeah, there we go. Then top plane, started a sketch, and I converted this outer circle and then just went ahead and made that line going out that way, and that way. Could have added dimensions while I was going there as well, 65.5 and 15. Then I trimmed away what I didn't need. From here I went ahead and extruded, again mid-plane 30 millimeters. I could add in a little bit of extra design intent by going up to surface, top and bottom, but in this case, just in the essence of speed, I went ahead and changed that. Then jumping into the full face fillet command, using right mouse button to quickly jump through those selections, and going to the front plane, starting a sketch and converting this inner circle to an intersection curve. So this gives me that inner face or the inner edge of that circle. I can go ahead and make that one construction, and using the line arc line chain of events, I can start a line, add in a dimension of 12.5, and then come back in, trim away what I don't need using the power trim feature, and then creating an overall dimension by picking up the outer dimension with the shift key, and last but not least, making a horizontal relation right there. So now I can extrude this again, mid-plane 30 millimeters, okay, and I'm left with a couple of these little residual faces. So I'll go ahead and use the delete face command, delete both of those and patch them. So that gets rid of those faces and terminates that face coincident with this outer circle. Next step is to go ahead and add some counterbore holes for a socket head cap screw M6, just verifying that all the dimensions look good, and our end condition is going to be through all. Go ahead and position one on this face here, picking up that center point, hit the enter key to jump into the same tool, again position one on this face this time, and hit OK. Swinging around to the back, I can start another sketch and add in a hexagon for the nut. So picking up that center point, there we go. Then I can dimension just this inner circle instead of having to pick both the flats, and that'll actually be the same as dimensioning between two flats. And the last thing to do is to make that horizontal to fully define the sketch. Extrude cut, in this case we're going blind, 6 millimeters, hit OK, there we go. And now we have our overall shape. We just have to add in this pocket and the keyway cutout. So for the pocket, I converted this circle, completed the circle again, and then I went ahead and converted these two lines. Then I added in a line here and dimensioned that from here to that point, 30 millimeters. Went ahead and trimmed away what I didn't need. Didn't start a line, trimmed away what I didn't need. There we go. And trimmed away this as well. And again, jumping into an extrude cut, in this case 14 millimeters, and we're doing a mid-plane cut extrude. So that gives us that inner shape, and now I can go ahead and create my keyway cutout. So 2 millimeters there, and I can pick up that point, not midpoint, just coincident. And then I can make this and the origin be a midpoint. From here, cut extrude through both directions. There we go. And now what I need to do is just add my 2 millimeter fillets. So jumping back to the normal fillet tool, 2 millimeters, and select a couple of faces, not edges. So face selection is really nice because then you're selecting multiple edges at once, and you don't have to worry about, did I select enough edges, all that kind of stuff, and accidentally, in this case, if I was trying to select that edge, for example, and I accidentally grabbed this face, in this case it wouldn't build, but also would pick up that edge, which I didn't want. So adding in those fillets first. I didn't add the fillets across the top yet. I could try, but the fillet wouldn't build. So I'll go ahead and hit OK, hit enter to bring myself right back into the fillet tool with the same settings, and grab those two fillets to finish off my model. So now last thing to do is to go ahead and add material properties of plain carbon steel. There we go. And now if we enter into our mass properties, we have 337.97 grams, which should be the correct answer. And now we get to jump into our next stage of the model, which in this case we have to grab this feature and rotate it around 45 degrees. This was the nice thing about having this be two separate features. I can actually just jump into this sketch, and instead of having all these be horizontal relations and vertical relations and all this kind of stuff, I just went ahead and picked these endpoints and made them perpendicular. Perpendicular there, and I can drag that around, give myself, grabbing just that point, I can give myself an angle dimension to the vertical. So now that's going to give me an error at this feature, because in this sketch now we don't have this overall dimension. We need to bring that dimension in from here, 45 or 42.5, and we're good. And then also, I just remembered we need to change this dimension from 65.5 to 73. So doing that there. And now this cutout looks a little weird. Same thing, in this cutout, edit sketch, we had a vertical. Instead, we need to be perpendicular. And just by switching that relation, I could really quickly update that sketch. Now there shouldn't be anything else to do besides change this feature into a slot instead. And this was a little bit tricky for me. I'm not the biggest fan of slots, so our slot length here is 19 millimeters overall. So I'll go ahead and change my position here as well. And let me actually jump in. This needs to be is 8 between the midpoints. So depending on how you do it, doing 8 between the midpoints is really nice, because you can try and drag this out. So if I delete that line, I can move this around. There we go. Horizontal. Like I said, this is the one part that actually did take me quite a while as well within Model Mania. So I can do that and then plot my point right there. There we go. So it did take me a while within Model Mania to figure out exactly how to position this slot, but the goal here, and I guess I technically didn't need to go through all this because we're just solving for mass, but anyways, the goal here is to make this end point be the concentric piece with this outer arc. So just adjusting that, hit OK, and now we should have our final mass properties of 356.27. So that should be correct, and that's pretty much all there is to it. So that's how I approached it, and there are a few different things that we could do to change things up. Instead of doing this mid-plane cut extrude, we could do all this extrusions from the side. We could do thin features for the centerpiece. We could wait to cut extrude this outer circle. There's a lot of different ways to approach this. This is how I did it, and it landed me second place. And just wanted to share. Hopefully that was helpful to some of you looking at Model Mania and wondering how would I even start with some of this stuff. That's how I started, and that's how I solved this.